Ursula K. Le Guin's The Left Hand of Darkness is a novel that doesn't just challenge the boundaries of science fiction. It kicks down the door, rearranges the furniture, and asks if you've ever really thought about gender. Written in 1969 at the height of second-wave feminism, it's no wonder this book has been called one of the most profound explorations of identity in literature. And it's also the kind of book that makes you wonder, did the people giving out awards just throw the Hugo and Nebula trophies at her feet and say, please take them all? The story centers on Genli I, an envoy from an interstellar collective of planets called the Ecumen, who arrives on the planet Gethen, or as he calls it, winter. The name isn't creative, but it's accurate. The entire planet is a giant freezer with the thermostat stuck at Arctic apocalypse. Genli's mission is to convince the Gethenians to join the Ecumen. Simple enough, right? Except he's dropped into a world of political intrigue, cultural misunderstandings, and one very significant biological twist. The people of Gethen are androgynous. They shift between male and female during a period called Kemmer. So imagine negotiating with someone whose gender could change tomorrow. Talk about having to keep an open mind. Genli himself is complicated. He's competent, but riddled with biases, which he doesn't even realize at first. He constantly trips over his own assumptions about gender, assuming male as default because, well, he's human. And humans in Le Guin's universe seem to have inherited all the same blind spots as the ones reading the book. It's like watching someone bring a knife to a snowball fight, repeatedly. His biases lead to countless misunderstandings, particularly with Estravan, a Gethenian who becomes his unlikely ally. Estravan is a political outcast, and their relationship evolves from wary diplomacy to something deeper, a bond forged in trust, survival, and more than a little frostbite. The heart of the book is their journey across the Gobrin ice, a brutal, frozen wasteland that makes Antarctica look like a luxury vacation spot. This trek is more than a survival story. It's a metaphor for breaking barriers and understanding differences. It's also where the book gets raw. As they struggle against the cold, against hunger, against their own mistrust, the barriers between them begin to fall. By the end, you're left wondering if Le Guin snuck in a love story disguised as a science fiction novel. And she did it without any sappy cliches or forced kisses in the rain. Probably because it's hard to be romantic when you're freezing to death. Le Guin's world building is next level. Gethen isn't just a setting. It's a fully realized world with unique cultures, politics, and philosophies. Karhide and Orgorein, the two main nations, are as distinct as they are flawed. Karhide is a chaotic monarchy where political intrigue is practically a sport, and Orgorein is a cold, bureaucratic regime that runs on lies and paranoia. It's like Le Guin looked at Earth's political systems and said, let's crank up the dysfunction and add snow. The environment of Gethen itself isn't just a backdrop, it's a character. The endless cold shapes the people, their societies, and their way of life. It's the kind of detail that makes you wonder if Le Guin spent her winters camping in a freezer for research. But the real genius of The Left Hand of Darkness is in how it tackles gender. The Gethenians' androgyny forces readers to confront their own preconceptions. Genli's discomfort with Estravan not fitting neatly into a male or female role mirrors the struggle many have when faced with anything outside societal norms. It's a bold narrative choice, and Le Guin doesn't sugarcoat it. She holds up a mirror to our assumptions and asks, why do you think like this? It's a question that's still relevant today, in a world where gender and identity are hotly debated topics. If you're looking for a book that makes you think, this is it. Of course, no book is perfect, and The Left Hand of Darkness isn't immune to criticism. Some readers find the pacing slow, especially in the political sections. Others argue that Genli's character can be frustratingly dense, though that might be the point. He's a flawed human in a story that's all about breaking free from human limitations. And if you think the book's gender commentary is progressive, you're not wrong, but it's also a product of its time. Some of Le Guin's language and ideas about gender may feel dated to modern readers, but they were revolutionary in the 60s. It's also worth mentioning the style. Le Guin's prose is precise, poetic, and packed with symbolism. Every sentence has a purpose. Every word feels deliberate. The interspersed myths and folklore from Gethen add layers of depth, giving the story a timeless, almost mythic quality. But fair warning, this isn't light reading. If you're used to action-packed space operas, you might find yourself wondering when the explosions start. Spoiler, they don't. Guin is here for your brain, not your adrenaline. In the end, The Left Hand of Darkness isn't just a science fiction novel, it's a masterpiece of speculative fiction. It's the kind of book that lingers in your mind long after you've closed it, making you question your assumptions and see the world a little differently. If that sounds like your cup of tea or your flask of thawed snow, then it's a must-read. Le Guin didn't just write a story, she opened a door. Whether you walk through it, slip on the ice, or stand outside wondering why it's so cold, that's up to you. Just don't say she didn't warn you.